Al?
Here.
Barb?
Here.
John's here. Mindy?
Here.
Adam? Here. Lee is absent. Any comments on the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any changes?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 4 on the agenda is approval from the minutes from our February 15th meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second. Yeah.
I think Mindy beat you.
Consent.
Any discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Item number 5 is public comments. Anybody in the audience who's not here to speak on one of the agenda items at all? Okay. Harry, you get to talk whenever you want, don't you? Isn't that how that works? Okay. With that, we'll move on to item number 6 on the agenda, the Water Lantern Festival. Do you want to do an introduction at all, Devin?
Yep, so Giovanna is on the phone, and she just would like to talk about a water lantern festival. So go ahead, Giovanna.
Yes. Your lanterns, so they can take their time, go take pictures, take their time, and really just enjoy that moment and take in that moment. Once launch is over, there's my end, and then that's when we'll start breaking everything down and cleaning everything up. We do set up and clean up and break down all in one day. With the lanterns, we set out a buoy line in the water so that they won't float away. And then we are really big into assuring that we are committed to cleaning up everything and leaving the park better than how we found it. Is there any questions for me at this time?
Well, why did you, my name's Barb, why did you feel that McCarty was a good fit for your program?
Yeah, because I see there's a big green space, which we like that. once they're making their way to the water, they have access to the water to set their lantern into the water. That was one of the big factors.
Okay, thank you.
This is John. I'm wondering, how long have you been running that program?
We've been doing this since 2018.
Have you
This
done
will be the first time in this area, so yeah.
have you done any in this area recently?
No, not in this area. We actually, before doing the Water Lantern Festival, we did the Color Vibes 5K. We're kind of an event company. So we did come to that area when we were doing the Color Vibes, the 5K runs, but we have not been to the area through the Water Lantern Festival yet.
This is Mindy. When are you looking at doing this?
Yeah, so we would be interested in doing this in August. August, a Saturday in August, August 26th comes to mind. So yeah, we're flexible with rates and we can work on their schedule, but we're ideally looking towards August.
So what do you do if the water's not running? If the river's low and there's no water in the river, what do you do then?
Well, that's an issue, yeah. Usually we work really closely with like the city, and and like I said, I'm not from the area, so I'm not familiar with the Split Rock Creek, and I don't know, like, does that usually happen? Because I don't know.
It depends on the year. I mean, there's years where it runs high, and then there's years where there's,
6 inches.
there's not much water in there at all. So it just really depended. So that's why I was just curious what you would do if we have a dry summer again, like we did last year. What would you do?
I'm assuming
And if the river's low, one thing that we can do is, and we do this in other places where we have tides that come in and out, we can use ramp so that if it's really low, we can just set the ramp and then participants use the ramp and push the lanterns down to the water. But that would be assuming that it wouldn't be dry, I guess.
Okay.
If it is, we can look at other places too, and that's another option we would have to look at. But
Sure.
first thing we would need to do is use route.
Devin, do you have any questions at all for her?
I guess what would you be wanting the city to help out with, if anything? Is this something you just kind of, you guys run this all on your own? Are we participating more than just the location? Things like that, I guess, is what I'd be curious about.
Yeah, so usually we really run it all. So all we would need from you would be the park, and then we would bring everything else that we would need. We would, bring tents. We would find the staffing that would help us run this event. We would do everything else.
Where else have you done this before, like your most recent one?
Most recent one we did in Palm Springs just this last Saturday. We're doing in Vegas this coming Saturday.
That's much nicer than here right now.
Sounds like we're kind
Yes.
of small.
All right.
Hi, Giovanna. This is Adam. I mean, how many people are you hoping for? What's your plan for marketing out?
Yeah, so we would be advertising this also majority for the people from Sioux Falls, just due to the size of that city. And we would be looking to park people at the high school, the Brandon Valley High School, and then we can see
I think depending upon the quantity of people that you have, there's also a lot of parking in the park, so you may not have to do that.
Okay, yeah.
Just for what that is
Yeah,
worth.
so we, usually for a first time, like first year we come, we would expect about 2,000 people to attend.
Okay, well, if it's that many, you may have to shuttle people.
Yeah, and that's okay, that's something we do pretty often, so that's something we're familiar with.
Okay, so obviously you must be a nonprofit, this is Barb again. So is this supported by some sort of a grant program or a government program? How are you sustained?
Yes, so we are a for-profit event. So, yeah, we're not tied to the government. We
Okay.
do partner with water.org, and we donate a percentage of our proceeds to them,
Okay.
but we are for-profit.
You are for profit, okay. Do we charge?
She does.
Yeah, but do we charge?
Yeah, typical the special permit, and we have to see what they want from us and, go accordingly.
Do a single use.
I think they're for profit.
Yeah, I guess I would kind of entertain a motion for this group to work with Devin and the city staff to kind of assemble an agenda for this event and start working through the details of its progression and see if we can have it occur.
Yeah, fun.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, concept sounds great. We'll look forward to you working with Devin and the rest of the city staff on kind of progressing the details of the event and see if we can have this come together.
All right, sounds great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, and Giovanna, we'll keep corresponding through email then, okay?
Okay, all right, I'll be looking out for that. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Get some Sioux Falls people out here, I guess.
There's nothing at the high school that weekends.
No?
Parking would be fun. Is that right that's right, the first weekend of school, right? Yeah.
Okay,
I'm guessing she hasn't talked to the school though.
Yeah.
That it's okay.
No. that's,
Yeah.
we'll let her worry about
That's
that.
her problem.
Is
Not
it
until the
Labor
September,
Day
Labor Day
weekend?
weekend, I think.
But it's,
I think it's Labor Day weekend for some reason.
You're
That's
just
the
supposed to
following weekend?
know that.
I don't,
All right, with that, we'll move on to item number 7, which is an update on the Brandon Wellness concept.
thank you. Press one of these.
yeah. That, there you go.
There we are. Okay. Well, as I told you, I'd like to come here at least once a month just to kind of update you on where we are and how we're moving forward. I don't know if you noticed, but we had a signing agreement that was on TV and an article in the paper talking about what we're doing and putting together. And that has generated just so much activity as far as phone calls, people calling up, asking what's going on. We've had 17 amazing phone calls with people that are just like, I didn't even know about this. And so, again, being out in front of the media, it's amazing that it just attracts all these people and we're getting these phone calls. And John and I are just seeing people right and left almost every day. So we did meet with Mammoth and we signed a contract to work with them. Mammoth, we originally started working with them about 14 months ago. And so from them, I looked at 4 different construction companies as well, went through the process, and we determined that this would be our best fit for what we're looking to do. So that's why we went with them after a very long period of time that we looked at the pros and cons for all that. I put together a copy of what it might look like, just so you guys could have a copy. This isn't the final copy, so it can change a little bit here, there, and everywhere. But we're pretty happy with the way this looks, and Mammoth likes our layout here. And I just wanted you guys to be able to see that, you know, we've talked to all these different sources that are on here. So we've talked to soccer, we've talked to basketball, we've talked to, you know, tennis and volleyball, and just on down the list. There's about 20 of them. And all of them can, at one time or another, be used in this facility. So like the basketball courts can be turned into tennis courts. You know, when you're playing indoor, there'll be pickleball courts. There's just endless amount of ways you can use that. So we have a schedule that we're putting out for different sports. We've talked to all of them as well. So if you'll notice on the diagram, like the green area on this side over here, this top box is the actual size of a football field, a regular football field or a soccer field. And then there's an area below there. The area below there is that since we're looking this to be a community, that section will always be available for anybody that just shows up there, that just want to kick the ball around or do something. Because again, if it's a community, you shouldn't have to like schedule things to go in there if you want to just go do that. The same thing is with the basketball courts. We're always going to have one basketball court that's going to be empty. So there's a lot of people that like to play basketball. And so you could walk in there and just start playing basketball. So we'll always have that available. And that again brings back the concept of community. And so again, we've added all these things in here. We have a golf simulator, we have fitness training, you know, we have a climbing wall, all things that are designed for what these people wanted. Like Special Olympics, I think I mentioned to you before, they do 3 events. They do bowling, track, and basketball. And their track and basketball, they do at the same time on the same weekend. Well, in this setup here, they said they can actually sit there and watch basketball and track at the same time. So they like that. And we originally only had 2 lanes, and they said they wanted 4, so that's why we put in 4. So again, we've gone out to the community. What do you want to see in this facility? And then we're designing around that, and that's what we've done. Any questions? That's a walking area, so you can watch your kids play or.
So is there room for like a little bleacher?
Yep, and that's also where it says walk through, where like pickleball is in the middle of there. We could put bleachers there. You just roll them in and roll them out. Okay, so, but again, my big thing is that you load up everybody in the family, you drive down there and you put your young kids in daycare, your kids go to play basketball or whatever it is, and you can go run the track, work out. How many times do we take our kids to an event and we sit there in the bleachers and watch them? This allows you to be able to get up and go do something while they're doing something.
Oh, I was just going to ask, really interesting drawing, and I love the concept. The question I had is, I also read in the paper that, you know, you've been working with like the Soccer Association on this. I know they've talked to us before about putting up indoor, so
Right.
I can see that. Are they looking at partnering with you
Yeah.
as opposed to putting an additional building up out there?
No, they're partnering with us. They're an unofficial partner
Okay.
with us.
Just
And
wanna
they are
make sure we don't
responsible,
run
they're
out
the
of-
ones that are paying for the soccer field.
Just want to make sure that we don't run out of space.
Right. Yeah, no, we're partnering with them. They're one of our partners.
So the white area in the little circle in the middle,
That's just
It's
just walking up to the
oh,
facility.
that's just the entryway and the
Yep.
walk-in. Oh, okay, okay.
So, I was hoping for the big question of why it's kind of U-shaped, because then it's been built for you. See? See? See how that works?
I'm not going to comment on the dad humor. Congratulations.
You get a lot more light in all the areas too, doing it this way.
Congratulations on the energy and excitement up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, we just don't have enough hours in the days to keep working on this. And, you know, hockey is looking to kind of do their own thing, but since we've been talking now, they're like, you know, maybe we should be looking at working together on this. So we've been having meetings together, because it makes sense that if you're going to have a building next to each other, they ought to at least look like they belong there. And so to us, that was our emphasis. We're not saying they have to be part of us, but they also understand that when the ice isn't, they're not using the ice, they're going to need something else to fill that. And so they're trying to make an arrangement with us to where we can partner with us and put maybe tennis in there or whatever, you know, they need to have to fill that space, because there's a lot of space that's going to be out there. But we've been to like Sioux City, they have 5 or 6 turfs like this, and they don't have enough. I mean, it's just, there's just never enough. Okay, and, you know, we can always look at expanding at some point in time too, but,
A few questions for you. I know you've been working really closely with different stakeholder groups, but have you done any kind of programming or polling of the general public at all in the community?
we have a website, and so we have questions on the website, and they respond to those.
But not asking the public what they would like to see in
They
this
had a
facility?
survey.
We had a survey.
Yeah, there was a survey on the website.
And do you have kind of,
Well, everybody wants a pool that's covered.
that I don't doubt.
And you know, it's like, that's a great idea, but let me just tell you, there's not one covered pool or uncovered pool in this state or any of the states that surround us that ever make a profit.
Right.
Oh, well, we could have told you that.
Yeah.
Well, I know, I'm just telling you, I mean,
Yeah.
so that's because that's their first question that they ask, and that's my first response, is that that's a great idea, and yeah, everybody would love to have one, but, you know,
Well, I think it'll be, you know, from my perspective, it'll be very important to somehow quantify and publish that feedback eventually, because there's going to be a lot of questions from the public, and especially depending upon, you know, obviously the city committing the land and other potential improvements to make this happen, that, you know, I think there'll be a general opinion that working with the stakeholder groups is very important, and they're very key members of making this happen, but
Yep.
they also, you know, we hear quite often that they don't want the park to just be a special use type park, right? This needs to appeal to the general citizen as well,
Right.
or at least, I'm not saying that it needs to, but
Well,
it
no, but
would
we
be,
have-
it would be in everyone's best interest for it
Sure.
to as possible, as much as you can.
yeah.
Um,
You're,
And I
you're,
think it
you're about
helps
a
with-
month early, because you'll be seeing that everybody in the city's gonna get a little flyer in the mail that's gonna be
Awesome.
asking questions,
Awesome.
okay?
That's great.
Either through that or by phone. But again, we're getting a lot of responses. People, you know, we haven't found anybody that said this is a stupid idea, okay? I mean, you know, it just makes sense. I mean, to have this, especially when you look outside and it's still white out there. You know?
Well, making sense is one thing, in need is one thing, but finding the money and the support to do it
Yeah.
is an entirely different thing. And that's the reason why it's so exciting to kind of see this energy, because certainly this is something that's been talked about for, oh, a good 2 decades, at least as long as, you know, since I moved to town back
Sure.
in 2000. So, what are right now, beyond the broad kind of community outreach, what kind of, and beyond soccer, what other stakeholders have you been able to bring to the table to?
So, well, we have the Basketball Association, that's with Craig Nelson, he runs all the stuff in town, basically, and he actually designed this, because we had it designed one way, and he said, no, let's do it this way, because we can do more people and that type of thing. But we've talked to, you know, we have tennis, volleyball, pickleball, I mean, the list just goes on and on. There's not one person that we thought of that we
Well,
haven't
but
talked
are
to.
all those groups contributing money to making this happen?
They
or
can,
how-
and that's the point that we're getting to, is that we want to have something that we can show them.
Okay.
Okay, and once we have something that we can show them, then we can ask for donations.
All right, so you're obviously in the process of kind of building all that group right now.
Yeah, and that's what, the Mammoth Company is one that does a lot of that stuff. They have a past record of putting these type of programs together, and that's why we went with them.
When do you feel like as a group that you'll be coming back